Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? Happy Halloween, Stardust. If you're new here, buckle up. And thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRay, aka rainbowFRIGHT, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. And today, we'll be talking about 5 of our favorite horror films to watch during Halloween. I'll be joined by friends of the channel for the very first time, Frightfully Forgotten, Adam and Justin, and the Scariest Cut, Tom, Matt, and James. So please check out the links to their socials and their YouTube channel, and if you like what you see, give them a sub and a follow. And as you can see, I have been sliced up a bit. I was getting ready for a date with my husband who's waiting for me at the restaurant when a madman came into the house and started slicing me. But I managed to get away. I grabbed my Glock and I shot his ass. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this discussion. Here are some of our favorite movies to watch during Halloween. Well, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and talk about 5 of our favorite horror movies that we like to watch during the Halloween season. Let's start with Frightfully. Give us your first pick for one of your favorite Halloween movies.
Well, I guess our first pick will be our joint pick.
Yeah.
We picked one for both of us, and we each picked 2 to total 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our joint pick it's ridiculous how many times a year we watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
Christ, I remember last year, I think I watched it 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too.
In 1 month,
Yeah.
Not even throughout the year, during October.
Mm-hmm.
Just ridiculous.
Well, it's a good movie to have on in the background, too, when you're doing stuff, right?
Well, the soundtrack has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. And then the dialogue and everything is fantastic. Very, very eerie. Gets you into the season.
It does,
You know?
yeah. And it's a movie, actually, when we first watched it, we didn't even like it because it didn't have Michael Myers in it, So,
See, we fell victim to that, too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest gripe that everybody has with that movie, right? Is that,
yeah.
there's no Michael Myers, and we kind of got fooled into it. But if you watch it and you kind of, watch it for what it is and break it down, it's a really wicked movie.
Oh, yeah. Very sinister and just all about the spooky season. I think when we were talking about this, you used the word pathetic in how much you watch this movie, because you love it that much. But it's great. It's one of the most perfect Halloween movies out there. It's about trick-or-treating and getting those kids, and you're victimizing children, and that's pretty horrible and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Connell Cochran's probably one of the best villains in horror movies, and he gets overlooked so much by so many other villains, but he's got the craziest plan, the most devious, awful plan in all horror movies, basically. And
you don't see the aftermath, but you can tell that it worked.
Yeah, most likely it worked.
It's that's pretty crazy. Probably the highest death toll out of any villain, I would think.
If his plan worked, he killed a lot of kids.
Millions.
So I watched all the Halloweens last year.
Yeah,
Every single one of them.
That
I ripped
commitment.
So this one's fun. It's fun, right? It stands out. It doesn't have Michael Myers. But that damn song.
I was going to say
mentioned the soundtrack.
The Silver Shamrock jingle.
Somebody sing it for me.
I don't want to, because it will be stuck in my head for
forever.
Anytime I watch that movie, it's stuck in my head for
Till Halloween.
Yes.
It's funny because as soon as October 1st rolls around, that song's in my head for the rest of the damn month.
So it's fun.
Yeah, I do love I wish they kind of stuck with that, because they were trying to do anthology with the Halloween genre. And then after that, they were like, all right, we have to put Michael Myers back. And then they didn't know what to do.
That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I do like the twist. It's so weird and different.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. It's weird. It's a weird
It's a weird movie, but it works,
Yeah.
It works. I think,
got Stonehenge and robots in masks that kill you. It makes no sense on paper.
Crazy.
No, well, the original the guy who wrote the screenplay was pretty pissed off that they changed a lot of his stuff. And I think he requested to get his name taken off the movie. He wasn't credited for it because there were so many rewrites where his original story just got mangled. But that's probably why it got mangled, because I guess, too many people get too many chefs in the kitchen. And but it still works. I think it still works, as ridiculous as it is.
Scariest, what is your first pick for this evening?
We should have talked about
that. Yeah, we didn't discuss the order, but one's on your shirt, so
we can go with this guy right here.
Yeah.
Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Yeah, Hellraiser.
I love Hellraiser. We live in Rhode Island, in New England, and when fall hits, there's a crisp in the air. It's a vibe, as the kids say.
That season changes.
Right, the seasons change. The flannels come on, the hoodies, right, the leather jackets. It's time for Halloween and in horror, right? And for me, just growing up, Hellraiser is one of my favorites, and it's a nostalgic movie for me. I think it's very dark. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting movie. It's a very sad movie, which is what fall is, right? Fall is like the start of death.
Death, yeah.
Yep.
The start of death.
True.
It is, and like
you're really going deep into this. I wasn't ready for this.
You weren't ready for this?
Taking a real horror twist there, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and it's just very taboo in certain ways. So I don't know. This movie just resonates with me, and it just gets me in that Halloween spirit, and I love everything about it. I love it.
Have you read
some of my favorite? I have not read the book.
Oh,
nobody's taught me how to read yet, so I'm waiting on that.
We're still working on that.
You really ought to try it. It's pretty good,
A lot of like digits and words, and I'd rather just watch a movie. I know James loves this movie as well. He's the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
James, if you want to speak about it, please feel free.
No, I just need some pins in my head. I'm good.
Yeah, but you have to shave the beard.
I just was like for me, it's the character design. That comes through the most. It's just how do you replicate that?
You
don't.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Pinhead, all the Cenobites are great, but Frank is such a standout character in that movie. Not talked about enough.
He's pretty evil.
He's
right? That guy's an asshole.
Very evil, but just all the effects of him coming back.
That's my favorite. So that scene, there's a couple scenes.
Man.
There's a scene where Larry gets, cut on the nail or whatever, blood's dripping through the floor, and then it pans down, and you see underneath the floorboards the heart beating. Right,
Oh, yeah.
Such a great shot. And then the next one is when Julia goes in the room, and he comes crawling, sliding out of the shadows,
really fast. Yeah,
shimmy, shaking. His legs are dragging behind him. It's so frightening. It's terrifying, and it's like a realness to it.
Crawling things is also that's my biggest fear in things. Ju-on the Grudge, the original Japanese version of the Grudge, is some of the most horrifying shit because everything crawls.
Yeah, crawling is weird.
Yeah. Get on your feet. I don't
Just
get it. Get up.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love it.
You mentioned this movie.
Just hits.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's taboo, and yes, you have sex with this violence and horror just put together in a way that you're not really used to.
BDSM.
Yeah, you've got your serial killer movies where you've got the sexual violence and all of that, but to make it directly linked to the lore is just pretty cool and interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and isn't Halloween as an adult just sexual horror?
I guess to you it is.
Unintentionally.
Hey, if you go out on Halloween, it's either spooky or sexy.
True.
Spooky or sexy. It is true.
Yeah.
Love that. Holy shit. All right. Well, my first pick is going to be Suspiria from 1977, directed by Dario Argento. Yes. So this one I didn't watch until, I was an adult and fell in love with it. And now I find myself watching it often. It's just got these bold, bright, beautiful colors, against this also just spooky atmosphere and a witchy vibe that I just gravitate toward. And I just love seeing Susie go through this, dance hall just freaking out. And we all just don't know why, but come to find out she's in a coven of witches. And it's unexpected. The bombastic music just makes it that much more.
It's one of those few examples of where it's kind of like Halloween, where the music helps to damn near make the whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Goblin score.
Yes.
One of the best.
So good.
One of the best horror scores of all time. Yeah. And I always remember my dad. I didn't realize till I was older, but my dad had that album on vinyl when I was a kid. And it was always like out in the open. It had a great cover. It was like this goblin playing violin. And I didn't even realize till like I got older, like, yeah, that's a fucking Suspiria soundtrack that's playing around.
That's
Dad's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, my dad's cool.
He's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our second pick. Frightfully, what is your second pick of the evening?
You go.
Mine is the horror of Dracula, the Hammer version there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there we go. Got the
Oh, okay. Very nice.
VHSs.
Very cool. That's what's up. Love that.
And
Here,
yeah,
scoot it over this way, that way, or this way. Sorry. Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Here.
Yeah.
Your model it just.
So tell us about this version of Dracula.
Well, I really like it. Whenever October 1st hits, I like to put it on, and it's kind of like what you guys were saying there about Hellraiser, where it's the start of the season, right? And you guys got a movie to get you in the mood, and this one does it for me. It's the fact that it's classic too, like it's a classic rendition still.
Yeah.
Of the Dracula tale and all that. And
Is this the first Hammer horror Dracula movie? Yeah, I think
it is. Yeah. And I like the fact that the story is pretty concise, and it's paced really well. The Bela Lugosi Dracula, it's good, but there's no music and it tends to drag. And so I tend not to gravitate towards that one. I like this one.
Yeah. We're Hammer boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do like his, sexy take on Dracula versus our 1931 Dracula. He's got women wanting him to suck their neck for the first time. And he hadn't seen the first Dracula in the first movie and just read, the novel and then decided to just be more sexy and just that's what he interpreted as. And I love that take on it for sure.
Yeah. And it kind of has some cheesy bits too, which, you gotta love. I like the fact too that Dracula's lair is, there's the main door to the castle and then where all the coffins are, it's right beside. It's it's all easy to get into and start killing the vampires and shit.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next movie, Scariest. What is your number 2 for this evening?
We still haven't figured out in order how we're doing this. Let's talk, because it's coming out next week. Let's talk about Beetlejuice.
Say it again.
Beetlejuice.
Say it again.
Oh no!
Beetlejuice. That would
Love
be great
it.
if James just popped up in a full costume.
I mean, what do we say about Beetlejuice? It's so beloved by many.
It's borderline Tim Burton's best movie for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tim Burton, it was think about this: 3 years in a row, Beetlejuice, Batman, and then Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that crazy? What a run!
Yeah, it's crazy.
Back to back.
Yeah, I'm in my October watching, there's so much Tim Burton, but Beetlejuice is very.
Oh,
it's always
it's
there.
fun. It's just all right. Here's the thing about all horror movies to me: it's the music. The music makes a great horror movie.
And Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman is like this alien from a different planet on a different level.
Yeah, because no one should look like that at 70-something.
He's all ripped now.
Yeah, I'm I tried to work out a few times. I'm nah.
He's got that carrot top kind of look.
Oh, yeah, Carrot Top's like weird. Like he's all
He pulls it off though.
wrong.
Like it works for him.
Yeah.
Speaking of him, like I did recently a video on Beetlejuice, and I'm listening to the music because I recently watched the movie and all that. And then as I'm like humming the song in my brain or out loud, I start getting into the Simpsons, opening credits song too. And I'm like, oh my God, they just blend so naturally. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the same freaking guy for sure.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, I'm like, Danny Elfman is like Halloween to me.
He is.
There's so much, because also Oingo Boingo.
I've been on such an Oingo Boingo kick. It's been crazy. That's all I've been listening to.
I've been listening to tons of Oingo Boingo lately.
See? I'm telling you. You're my Canadian brother.
Yeah.
It's the suit jackets. But just Beetlejuice full aesthetic is so like, it's just that spooky, but not to
Kooky.
bring up Adam's Family, but kooky. Yeah, it's like, it's so like weird and goofy. But like, that's what Halloween, when you go into like a spirit Halloween, like that's the kind of stuff you expect to see.
It's like a whimsical version of scary, which I just love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's every Halloween you gotta throw it on at some point.
And the characters are great. Lydia, I mean,
He is great. Oh God, I want to say Olaf.
Everybody,
Thank you. I'm like, it's not Olaf. That's Frozen.
Olaf.
We'll get into my next pick then, and that is going to be David Cronenberg's The Fly from 1986. So one of my favorite things is romance horror, and this is just the epitome of that. And we've got, our two characters, Ronnie and Brundlefly, falling in love as he's making this amazing discovery. And we know that it's going to end because, behind Ronnie's back, we see him do this incredible mistake when he was drunk by trying to teleport himself, but not knowing that there was a fly in the other teleportation pod. And we just slowly see him turn to this nasty, disgusting thing. And it's just funny, in pre-production for this movie, how many hands this got passed around to as far as directors, actors, and all of that. But this final product with all these right people, or not the right ones, but with these people, I feel like it's just the perfect combination. And yeah, it is chef's kiss. And I watch it also frequently just because I gag every time.
Yeah. Perfect example of a body horror movie.
It's funny because both the movies that we just mentioned, Beetlejuice and The Fly, are both movies that I watched the shit out of as a kid, but they're so different. Like, to think that I watched The Kid on repeat when I was like under 10 years old. Ridiculous, but yeah.
I believe Vincent Price said so he was commending the film, but he's like, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, that's the point.
It's a great love story, though, like you mentioned. It really is. It's like heartbreaking.
It's so sad at the end.
And it gets me every time. In the practical effects.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, because two of my favorite movies are American Werewolf in London and John Carpenter's The Thing. And this is right up there with some of the best practical effects.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Like peak Jeff.
Yeah,
make him Dracula.
His own name. He's greasy.
Yeah.
It's all exercising.
Yeah.
Flipping around that bar and everything.
I think, too, what really helped to sell the love between the two of them was the fact that they were actually a couple in real life and then got married after the film and then divorced a few years after that. But, Gina Davis was still pretty unknown, as well as Goldblum, but he had to go to bat for her just to get her on there because, nobody knew who she was. And after she did some lines, Cronenberg was like, all right, I see what you're talking about. We'll go ahead and use her because the chemistry is there. And it was just perfect.
Yeah, movies like that.
Did not know that.
Good.
They help with unknown actors, right? Because then you don't associate the movie with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps anyways.
Especially for this big remake, because the original Fly was pretty popular and well liked, and to have to redo it and get the respect of all its fans, you gotta make sure you make all the right decisions. And so I think they definitely were able to do that.
Yeah, I think because Vincent Price was such a big name in horror at the time, if you were to get another big name in horror in the 80s, it wouldn't have worked because you're just trying to like, oh, he's the next Vincent Price. But you want to do the opposite of that.
Right.
You don't want the next Vincent Price.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want greasy Jeff Goldblum.
Let's move on to our third movie then. Frightfully, what is your third film of the evening? Or show if you have a show.
Yes, because I don't want to do all movies. Movies are too easy. And I also only watch specific shows in October. The shows I won't watch throughout the whole year. I'll save them just for October. So first one is, of course, the Munsters.
Nice.
So
Munsters.
there's only 2 seasons, so it's like you could almost get through all 2 seasons.
Yeah, pretty
in
easy.
October, because they're little half-hour episodes or whatnot. But like this is a show I grew up on, and it just to me doesn't get old, and it's a type of humor that's kind of lost. That really goofy. There's goofy, and then there's the Munsters. It's an extra level of goofy.
Yeah,
it's almost like a Looney Tunes show where it's so fun and out there. Someone sees Herman and gets scared and runs through the wall. Then you see the outline of the guy, in the wall. Like you don't see shit like that in TV or movies anymore. No. It's just so fun and it's the family values. There's actually quite good in the Munsters.
Oh yeah,
considering how zany it is. It's all about family values and just a fun show. And it's kind of a neat offshoot for the Universal Monsters too. If you like Universal Monsters, you'll like the Munsters.
Yeah. I like the message behind it too, where they're the weird ones, but they don't feel weird.
Yeah.
They're normal, right? And I think actually a lot of times the people on the outside see them as normal too.
Yeah.
Which
after they get to know them, then
they're just normal people. Yeah. There's a good message there.
You're spot on with it. I think they were ahead of their times by a lot. And I think there's a certain innocence in the Munsters. I grew up watching that as well. I love it. It's just fun. It's just good-hearted, fun, and with that horror touch. Yeah, just that horror touch.
We love Universal Monsters, so it's if you make them again spooky and kooky.
I can't believe 2 seasons though. Like you mentioned,
no one's got to talk about Adam's Family, but
it made such an impression.
That was kind of baffling to me.
It's such an impression.
So many of those shows, from the 60s, were lasted 2-3 seasons. Star Trek is 3 seasons. Munsters is 2 seasons. I think Addams Family is only 2 seasons.
Yeah, they ran almost at the same time. Munsters and Addams Family. One has 64 episodes, the other only 70, and at the same time, it's just a trip. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the longevity of those is outstanding for something that ran 2 years.
Still huge today. Yeah. I mean, we got Wednesday. We have Rob Zombie's Monster.
Let's not talk about Rob Zombie's.
I can't say anything.
Bother watching.
I didn't watch it. Tom did.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible.
I didn't bother. I just waited for Adam to waste his time on it, and then
that's what I did.
God damn it.
It really is.
Y'all are
Canadian twins.
I'm telling you, we're connected somehow by some weird thread. Universal.
Love it.
I was like, I'm not doing it. Tom's like, I did it. I was like, was it good? He was like, I don't want to talk about it.
I had to go back to it. It was tough. It was a rough watch, which is too bad because I think he's a good director, but this is not his style.
He's very talented. He's a talented artist who's an asshole, but he knows what the hell he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to say about the Munsters before I move on is what made it really special is the chemistry between all the actors, right? Especially between Al Lewis and Fred Gwynn. That just makes the show. And you don't get that anymore, really, it seems like. Especially in, you're going to remake the Munsters. You're never going to get that chemistry between 2 actors ever again.
Yeah.
So why bother,
Well, the people making those kinds of shows need to recognize that. And it feels like it's not ever recognized properly anymore. So nobody really looks for that.
Yeah. It's all about chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right, Scariest, what is your third pick?
All right, this is Hocus Pocus, 1993.
Nice.
So so a full disclaimer here. I like dark psychological horror movies. But this one is like a tradition for me.
You okay?
So I think this movie is the quintessential family Halloween movie.
Hell yeah.
There's not much that rivals it besides Nightmare Before Christmas. You can say some come close, but yeah, it's in a league of its own. And I think it just has everything. And it bombed at the box office, which was insane. Like, it has story. The performances are amazing. And I just think it's like, it has everything. It's campy, it's funny, it's endearing. And the aesthetic and ambiance, I think it's all there. The musical score, if you listen to it, sounds very much like, if you listen to the title sequence, sounds like Danny Elfman's Batman. It's very like stylistically similar. But I think, yeah, Bette Midler, that is a masterpiece performance. And even the chemistry with the witches is next to none. You got Doug Jones, who's awesome at everything.
Yes. Everything he does.
Yeah. And even the side characters, like you have Jay and Ice. Remember the guy who's got like ice in his head, like he.
Yeah.
You have like the
had those bully characters.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they were in the second one too.
A lot of bullies back then in these movies.
I think it's
What was going on?
A lot of
it's
bullies.
Yeah.
a reflection of the times, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, this is another one for me. I'm a '90s baby, so yeah, I grew up watching this. It did kind of go away for a while, but 2 years ago I got engaged right after watching this. So
Nice.
now it's definitely a staple every year for me.
It has to
Aw.
be.
It was actually after the second one came out. We watched that, and I was like, the day before Halloween, I was like, all right, now's the time.
How was the second one?
So I'll give my opinion.
All right.
Matt, you give yours for a second.
Whoa.
Like I thought it was good, but like there's something that took me out of the zone with that movie. Like they're in Walgreens trying on cosmetics, and it's trying to appeal to like Gen Z or something. Like that took me out of what I thought was so like perfect about the first one, is that like everything is spot on, like the score, the performances, just everything. And that like took me out of the second one. Like it took me out of the ambiance. But I still think it was good. But like it's weird.
Was it
that
as
the
spooky?
No. And the critics like the second one better than the first, which I find baffling.
They don't
Oh,
know.
whatever.
Everybody's got an opinion, right? Like,
Yeah.
So for my third pick, we're going to go back to Tim Burton from 1990. We've got Edward Scissorhands, one of my absolute favorites, just period. Beautiful colors. Again, we've got a fantastical score, amazing actors, Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder. Winona, my girl, Beetlejuice, and then this, just killing it in the horror game. Another love story. It's not necessarily a horror movie, but it is spooky and creepy and weird. And so again, we've kind of got this like weird horror romance going on with a tragic / happy ending, sort of. It's a sweet ending, I guess you could call it. And yeah, I just love everybody in it. The performances are just spot on, and I just love seeing him, do his little bushes and his hairstyles and everything every time. Yes.
I think that was Vincent Price's last horror movie.
Yeah, last role, like at all, as far as it being released when he was alive. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love this film so much. So this film has a song in it. Everybody's got a cry song, okay? There's a song in this film that's my go-to cry song.
I know what you're talking about.
Someone play it right now.
If you play it right, I would tear up. I think it's when they're dancing.
That's
Yes,
at
that's
the end,
all.
right?
It's,
At the end.
it's beautiful.
He's
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton he makes iconic characters.
He does.
But also just again the vibes.
The
Even though,
team,
like you say, it's not-
Danny Elfman and him.
Yeah, Danny Elfman, him, and then now with Johnny Depp was another huge one.
Yeah.
But it's just the vibes of these movies are so like just weirdly dark.
They just fill your heart up, you know?
They're kind
So
of
much- and
they're all like Dr. Seuss, but just twisted.
which is great when you love horror,
Yes, adult almost. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Seuss.
Yeah, that's a good way
exactly.
of putting it. Yeah.
The funny thing, Edward Scissorhands actually really isn't all that dark, really. Like, you look at the town and everything, it's all pastel and bright and everything. Like, Tim Burton does a good job between Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands both do this, where he uses the tacky and meshes it with, like, the dark. And they got this weird contrast between really tacky and gaudy and, like, the dark gothy aspect.
Gothic, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That gothic tone. Yeah.
Never thought of that. That's
Well, you
true.
mentioned the houses being the same, right?
The pastel houses.
yeah, all the pastel.
But then, yeah,
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Personality, everybody, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because
Just the
Tim
whole-
Burton was inspired by his childhood growing up in suburbia and just not being able, I guess, to like gel and mesh with people and maintain friendships. And he always, in his mind, according to him, felt like people were just trying to always get away from him because they didn't want to be around him or talk to him. And he just felt like an outcast. And basically, you know, Edward was a version of himself in a way. So I thought that was real interesting. He didn't want to necessarily bash suburbia. He just wanted to show that like some people just don't necessarily fit in, you know.
Right. But see, there's a good message there again, because Edward is just being himself. And people gravitate towards him. People love him.
Yeah.
Like all the women in the town,
Oh, they love
you know,
him.
they love him all right. You know?
That's
So it's
funny.
kind of interesting. He's like you guys are saying, he tugs at the heartstrings. He knows it.
And then it's kind of interesting. It turns into a witch hunt at the end. So it's another aspect of commentary on, like,
Mhm.
just do the wrong thing, you'll be canceled. You know, Edward gets canceled in this. You know,
A
it
couple
turns into a
times,
witch hunt.
yep.
Yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
modern day Frankenstein, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
with-
very
with
much
the
so, yeah.
mob, the mob
Yeah.
mentality and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
True.
All right, Frightfully, we're moving on to our fourth pick.
Okay.
What
and
is your fourth pick?
this one has got to be one of the funnest and most insane zombie movies ever, which is Return of the Living Dead.
Nice.
It's our favorite zombie movie of all time.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, well, it's tied. We get into this. It's tied between it's this one or the '78 Dawn of the Dead. You know, it's like,
Okay, yeah.
you know, they're both awesome, but both for different reasons.
Yeah. Totally different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Return of the Living Dead has to be one of the most entertaining damn movies I've ever seen in my life. It's just nonstop, balls to the walls from second one to the end.
Yeah.
Just nonstop madness. It's so quotable.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are so good.
Yep.
For the most part, the effects are good, but they let some shitty effects make their way into the final
That
cut.
skull. And
Yeah,
everything.
because they actually fired the original effects artist because he was doing such a bad job. And then when I
Wow.
saw
Oh,
the
no.
then when I saw the final cut and they saw that the editor put in like one of the bad effects they didn't want to put in, apparently the guy's heart just sank. He's like, that made it in the movie. Oh god.
Yeah. But it kind of adds to the charm. Like it's a charming movie.
Yeah.
Really. And it's like the movie, you're never bored. Like it's just, if you know, it satisfies that craving for zombies, I would say probably the most out of any movie.
It's sexy.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
it's got an awesome soundtrack. Like the punk music soundtrack is so good.
Yeah. It's a great example of contemporary music being perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just complements the movie perfectly, which is so hard to do.
Yeah, I definitely liked the zombies in this one. It's funny because they're all fucked up, but they still have their intact eyeballs.
Yeah. And they run too. They're really fast.
This might be the first running zombie movie I ever watched. There's running zombie movies that came out before this, but it's the first one I've seen when I was a kid. And like, what, they're running? Holy shit.
Yeah.
And they're talking, you know, send more cops.
Yeah, they have such intelligence. And I love the fact that they love brains. Just them saying brains and eating the tops of people's heads is just wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. There's real cow's brains too. that they
Oh,
used. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do a zombie movie, you better use real. something.
Yeah,
You-
the director Dan O'Bannon, he even like had a, you know, he ate some just to show a bit of goodwill too, because all the actors were like, "Well,
Well, he
fuck,
should
we gotta
have.
eat this shit." And
I'm
you're
glad
not,
he did.
you know, and so he just took some. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man.
That's a leader
like,
for you.
You guys are all fired.
And I love the way it weaves the original movie Night of the Living Dead into it, but it's not really canon, but
Yeah, but it is
Story-wise, it kind of is, because in this movie, Night of the Living Dead is a movie based on a true story, so it's really smart how they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I miss the fun zombies. I feel like we haven't gotten that in a while.
No, got real serious with Walking Dead and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Like
Or they try too hard to be fun, you know? Stuff like Zombieland and, you know, it's trying a little too hard.
They took the personality out of the zombies, which is...
That's why I don't like zombies.
Yeah, you've lost
I've said this
from that.
I've said this to them. I say this all the time, but zombies just don't do it for me because there's no personality. There's nothing there. It's like just ants. You know, I need some flavor behind my monsters. Like there's no flavor there. Is this the film with Tarman?
Yes, this is Tarman.
Yes.
So Linnea Quigley.
Linnea is in this. Yeah.
I remember that scene very well.
Yeah. But it's funny because the prosthetic piece that they used actually looked more realistic.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to do that dance actually naked, and the studio was like, well, no, she's got to cover up. So they put a piece like on her, you know, and it looked worse than
it looks real.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was real. You wouldn't have told
I'm
me.
glad you told me that because I wasn't sure because I saw that too and I'm like, why does this look real but not at the same time? Like, where's your bush? Where's something? Give me something realer.
Yeah, it's not quite Barbie. It's a little bit more than Barbie.
All right, then. So let's go ahead and move on to the Scariest Cuts fourth pick.
What do we got?
I think save the main Halloween one for last.
So we should talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Freddy Krueger? I mean, come on. Everybody knows everything about this movie at this point. I don't even know why I need to say anything.
I'm surprised you're not in the full costume right now.
All right,
Tom does.
Next movie. No,
Tom does have
shitty masks.
Oh, no, I have a silicone mask. Well, mine looks a little different than that.
This is
So-
new Nightmare.
Oh, look at that. Hell yes. Love that.
That's from one of the sequels. I can tell. Hollywood ruined the franchise, as they typically do. But what are you going to do?
There were several good sequels. A few good sequels.
Two good sequels.
Yeah, I was being generous.
Dream Warrior is probably my favorite, but I love the original. So to me, Freddy Krueger is the most menacing horror icon there is.
Especially in the original.
In the original, right? Here's this guy, he plays with his prey like a cat, right? Like, I don't know, he has fun torturing them. The atmosphere in this film, the music, right off the rip, right, is just eerie. And it's unsettling, and it's scary. This is Johnny Depp's first performance, which is just funny, right? That whole room scene with the blood everywhere. It's just
that like what they did there with the spinning room too.
It's awesome.
So
there's
good.
so many good
Same
scenes
thing they did in The Fly, by the way.
Oh,
With
interesting.
the spinning room, yeah.
Oh,
Interesting, but-
okay, all right.
But to me, he's just like the epitome of evil. He is.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, as a horror fan, like, it's interesting to watch somebody like that. And then the whole backstory and the remake, I hated. I just want to throw that
we
out there.
don't talk about that.
We don't talk
Yeah.
about the remake.
No, it's pretty bad.
They could have made him a character that you almost fell for, but then they took a turn. And they went the whole child thing, and I was like, damn it. Like, why?
They had almost a good twist on it. Where it was like, he was innocent. And then they were like, nah, he's an asshole. And it was like, oh, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
They've never been able to capitalize fully on the fact that Freddy is a pedophile, right? And they've never wanted to go that route because it's a horrific subject, right?
It is. It is very much
so. And the thing is that you got to think about like Freddy. How charming or how inviting must he be to get these kids, right? And that is scary. And they've never really gone down that route.
No.
Like that
nobody wants to touch that.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, like,
No pun intended.
that's a horrible way that you could take that movie and really.
That's horror.
It
That
would have been a
that's
scary.
horror.
Would have been a scary way to take that.
I mean, there's a way, you can twist that, right? You can, but still.
Anybody ever watch Freddy's Nightmares, like the series that he had? I
Just
have
the
A
that.
little bit.
just the pilot, because the pilot is like the trial
Pilot's
of Freddy.
Yeah,
That-
it's
that
kind
was-
of, it's a neat idea.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was
his
executed quite.
his
well as
backstory
could
just
be.
straight up in the movies got very convoluted.
It did, which
Yeah.
fine.
But-
Try to convolute it, right? Like
And
make it
that
worse.
happens with all these characters. I mean, Jason went to space.
Yeah.
So, but that original movie, Robert Englund, I mean, all of his Freddy stuff has been,
He's the best.
he's the best
No
part
one- no
of
one
all
else can
those
be.
movies.
Yeah, and as a kid, it's nostalgic for me watching the Nightmares. Like I just loved him growing up, and it just reminds me of Halloween. It just gets me in that mood. So anytime, once again, it turns fall over here in New England, that movie's coming on.
Yeah.
So my next pick is going to be 2003's House of a Thousand Corpses, directed by Rob Zombie. One of my absolute favorite, just sadistic movies out there. We have a family who takes a bunch of teenagers captive who were doing research for a book, and we just see all of them get picked off one by one. We have Dr. Satan in the mix with all of this. Love his ass. He's basically got his little operation table where he picks at people until they die. And just the whole family is super dynamic and fucked up, and I love every one of them, especially Baby. Baby has to be my absolute favorite.
Funny thing is, like, House of a Thousand Corpses, in my opinion, is a better Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like,
Yes.
So I was
he
just
made
gonna
a
say-
better Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie without it being a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie than he did a
100%.
Halloween movie with it actually being a Halloween movie. If that makes any sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And he managed
yeah.
to do the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing better than the remake as well.
Yeah.
Sure. No, yeah. I didn't like that remake too much either.
No, neither did I. It's just far too much. It's like,
Nah.
Yeah, the grittiness of this movie, because it's almost shot like a music video. Like, it's so chaotic and stuff, but
Oh yeah.
so dark.
It's
And-
yeah.
But I love all the, like, even when they have the fish boy thing.
Yes.
They turned Dwight from The Office.
Yeah,
into Fish Boy. I'm like, all that weird stuff, but it's so dark.
It's very dark. Like you said, with the way it was shot. Sometimes they do these slow motion shots, and it's like, and it's like, I don't know, the way it staggers and stuff. Like, it's just, it was meant to be made this way.
Yeah.
This is like a fantastic haunted house.
Yes, it's so
It's the-
good.
it's-
And I mean, Sig Haig, rest in peace, because Captain Spaulding is an icon.
So fun. And think about the end of this film. Like you mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, you think she's going to get away. She gets in Sid, in his car. And then what's his name pops up in the back. And then all of a sudden,
And then, the
She
Dr.
wakes
Satan
up.
stuff is so weird and chaotic.
It's almost like Mandy, right? Some
Oh,
of those
yeah.
characters.
Yes.
I never
It's
saw
almost like-
Mandy.
Ooh, y'all would love
Oh
it.
my God.
Y'all would love it.
Yeah.
Nick
Mhm.
Cage.
Need to watch
God,
it.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, you said he's sexy. He's right
Mandy
there
was
for
Oh,
Yeah.
you.
dude, check out Mandy, man. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, you'll
it's-
love
I
that.
like Mandy.
It's similar vibes, just the weird chaos.
Great looking characters. Just the grittiness, the gore. It's awesome. Just
Yeah.
the raunchiness. Like,
And then, like, Devil's Rejects it's in my top somewhere because
Yeah.
it's such a good, like, sequel that is so different.
what's better?
I
On the
personally
road.
I like Devil's Rejects
Yeah.
more as a movie.
I like House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah. There's just so
They
many
aren't
scenes
so
in Devil's
different,
Rejects about.
yeah, but the
Yeah.
same at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
like, those characters are so iconic.
All right, so what is your last pick, Frightfully?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I have another TV show, and we're going to do this one because it's Canadian. And we're Canadian. We're the Canadian guys. The hilarious House of Frightenstein
Woo!
was
all right.
a Canadian kids show from the 70s shot in Toronto, where it was a bunch of monsters in a castle, but it's kind of like kind of educational, but not really.
Yeah,
There's like, it was funny because there's 2 educational segments that revolved animals. So Dr. Petvet would come and show Igor the animals.
So can I keep him?
Yeah. And then there was Bawana Clyde Batty, the safari guy, would show you like films of animals. And then there was a professor who was also educational, but what he was talking about was so far advanced above like anything that a kid or even an adult would understand. It's like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah.
He's got these crazy, like, super long equations on the chalkboard. Like, what the?
There's that one where he's like drawing out a steam engine and all that. And it's like, how is a 4-year-old kid going to know what the hell he's talking about? All this physics and shit with a steam engine.
But it was just a fun, if you liked the monsters and you're a kid. Well, when we were kids, this is all you had, you know? There was no Hotel Transylvania or any of that stuff for us kids. All we had was the hilarious House of Frightenstein. And it's super funny. It was all like ad-libbed and stuff. And almost all the characters are played by one guy. Billy Van played almost every character except for Igor and the professor. So
and the master himself, Vincent Price, does the beginning and the ending
of the show. Yeah, and he does the in-between segments where he introduces
narration type thing.
Yeah, he introduces the episodes and then the exit too.
Again, it's a show I only watch during October now because it's something special that I save for just the October season. But like now you can see them all on Tubi and YouTube. But like there was a period there in like between the 90s and like the 2000s where it disappeared. It wasn't on any TV station, didn't have a physical release at all. It just kind of like disappeared off the face of the earth. And it's like, am I ever going to see this again? You know? Right.
Aww.
Then they released a small DVD package, and now all of it's available, of course, streaming. But
nice.
My favorite was the jam sessions.
Oh yeah,
the Wolfman and Igor. Yeah. That bat guitar where the strings are all loose.
Super not.
All right, so we're gonna end on a basic Halloween one, but it is, I think, the best Halloween movie,
The best anthology ever made.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Creep Show's up there, but we weren't able to talk about that. But Trick or Treat.
Trick or treat.
There are multiple.
Treat with Sam.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been into a Spirit Halloween, you know who Sam is. But I feel like this movie had such a weird. It was put on the back burner, which I'm baffled by, because it is the epitome of Halloween for me.
Yeah, it is. It starts with what, like Halloween?
Yeah,
night,
it's
right?
all Halloween. It tells 5 stories over this night
that are intertwined so well, so beautifully.
Yes, and it does one of those things that every time you watch the movie, you'll catch something that it's like, oh shit, I didn't notice that last time. That's from that part, and I'm like, there's so much little. Let alone
so many.
Sam is just another icon.
He has become an icon.
He's an icon,
which is funny. I like it. How did they, I don't feel like this movie is mainstream enough. Yet it did cut through somehow, and Sam became this.
I think it only had a theatrical play kind of recently. Like it was shoved straight to DVD, which is baffling to me.
Now, I was mentioning werewolves earlier, and DeRay said we were going to get to a movie that has something to do with werewolves. So I don't know if this was the movie you were talking about.
I definitely think this rivals the werewolf transformation to American Werewolf in London. Like, it's all practicals, and it's just perfect. And you got a bunch of sexy women just ripping their clothes off and things. And so it's just that much more awesome, you know?
Yeah, I will. That is my favorite segment because I do. It's
not for that
not
reason.
For the women part. It's for the werewolf part. I do love werewolves, but they do it so well. And
Marilyn Manson
and
that Sweet Dreams song playing over it works so well.
That song.
But like all of those segments, the way they just meld. Where it's an anthology that's not being like, here's a new chapter, here's a new chapter. It's just like, here's a story.
Yeah, you don't even know you're going somewhere else necessarily until you're
It's
in
not
it.
linear, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of That's why, like I said, you watch it over again. You're like, oh yeah, this is now taking place at that time, and but it all just works.
And
so
all the
well.
stories are so different, but it's all so connected.
Yeah,
and God, yeah,
it's For me, I'm like, when this first came out, ever since then, and now Tom, you join every year. Me and my dad have always been like, this is we have to watch it every October.
That's sweet.
So yeah, and now it turns into it's like 20 of us.
Now it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Everybody's showing up.
It's such a quick movie too, but like when we bring new people in, they're like, I don't know what happened. You guys all talked over it. It's like, yeah, because
we've seen it
love
1,000
this
times.
movie, but we've seen it 100 times. So
that vomit, that old boy vomits out. Just
oh yeah,
that
the chocolate. Oh,
That's what I knew when I first watched that movie. That's when I knew I was watching something special. As soon as I pouring up all that stuff, I'm like, dear, this is gonna be good. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into my last pick then, which is the more recent film from 2021, directed by James Wan, Malignant. And I know this one is pretty divisive among horror audiences, but I absolutely felt in love with this one right away. I loved how it is a little bit spooky with the fog everywhere, but I just love this mind fuck, and where we got this girl just going through her mental struggle and her relationship struggle. And we can kind of all relate to this, where we're just kind of getting treated poorly in different aspects of our lives. And we wish we could just lash out in this way where, if you do me wrong, you're out, you get cut up, you get dead, you're killed, and we get her, our main character, getting to the end, who transforms into Gabriel at the police station in the jail, where she does her final battle scene, where it's just awesome. I love seeing Gabriel do his damn thing, and that sword was just an iconic sword or knife, I guess, if you want to call it, because it may not be as long as a sword, but I just love everything about this movie. It's got a little bit of comedy, which I didn't really recognize James Wan doing before, and him being able to mix this thriller, mystery, slight comedy, into one, was just a beautiful, beautiful thing for me. It was unexpected from him, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I wish we felt the same, Ray.
Tell me, give it to me.
It is common knowledge around the Scariest Cut crew.
Uh-oh.
When we first watched this movie, we were like...
Yeah, we did like a little review on it.
We didn't see it through the lens that you saw it through. And I appreciate
Sounds like
your
it.
look.
Sounds like it.
And I love hearing what you said about it, because we have said for a long time we need to rewatch this.
Yes.
This
is a thing that we need to do. And we will give
I have not yet. I watched it that one night.
Yep, same.
And then immediately made my points.
Yep.
And then I have not gone back to it. It is one I do want to, because I know a lot of it, like you said, it's divisive. A lot of people love this movie.
Yes.
And I'm like, I want to.
What am I missing?
Feel that.
I want to feel.
We also watched it when, at a time, we were doing reviews for stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch it without that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And just be like, I think I'll enjoy it more, because there were parts of it I did really like.
Sure. It was a little weird. It felt like two movies to me. You got the first part, which, they're building this character up, and it's like, and then all of a sudden it flips to an action movie. You mentioned the whole fight scene at the end. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, why this turned into an action movie?
I love the gore of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that prison scene is nuts.
Here's what, it is. I love Basket Case so much. It's one of my favorite 80s movies. If you've never seen Basket Case, you got to check it out with Belial.
Basket Case, fantastic. Yeah.
Right?
Love Basket Case.
I love it. And to see this movie, I'm just like, it's like a Basket Case.
Borderline modern day Basket Case.
Yeah. And I was like, what's James Wan doing here? Is he looking to make a little extra money on the side? What kind of story is this? It's crazy. It's all over the place.
I do kind of love, though, that he was just, because James Wan is such a name now, the studios just gave him money and didn't know what he was doing.
Do whatever he wanted.
He just made chaos.
And he did.
Well,
Very interesting movie.
as a woman, period, and then as a woman of color, and then also a woman of color who is 5'1", and then in real life just has a soft voice and is easily overlooked by the general public. It was just cool seeing this person who was weak and pushed around to then become a superhero almost in a weird way.
Badass.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that perspective. 'Cause
Yeah.
Not how I watched it the first
Well,
time.
you're not a 5'1" black woman. So
No.
it might.
No, I'm not.
Well, on Saturdays,
I get it. That's why I said I love your perspective. So
Yeah,
we will watch it.
that's
again.
Definitely. It's one I've wanted to go back to. I've just been waiting because I'm like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
Never seen
have
it.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I've never seen it. I haven't seen
I
it.
started watching it and I turned it off after 2 minutes.
What
Hooray!
the fuck is this shit?
Kind of, but maybe I'll go rewatch it now. I don't know. But it's
We
like
will.
I maybe just wasn't in the right mindset. I think I was like pretty drunk too.
Either drunk or just too sober. One of the two.
No, I definitely was not sober.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before we end this video, let's take 30 seconds and talk about what we're doing this spooky season for October on y'all's channels. Frightfully, what have you got coming up here this season?
We don't have everything planned yet,
Sure.
but I guess if we're going in order, because the last few years we've been going in order of the Halloween movies, doing our Trash or Treasure segment. So last year was H2O.
Yeah.
So that means this year we have to cover Resurrection, Halloween Resurrection for Trash or Treasure.
Yeah. Sadly.
And I
Yeah.
think because we've been doing like, kind of like watch along best scenes of too.
Right.
And if we go in order for that, I guess we'll be doing Halloween 3,
Oh, okay.
like
yeah.
watch along. But that's all we really have planned.
Yeah.
Nice.
But we'll have to plan a few more, which I guess we better get our asses in gear because it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's right now, you guys. It's happening.
Oh, that's right.
now.
You can edit that shit out.
All right, Scariest, what do you got going on this spooky season?
We've got a very busy personal spooky season happening.
Yeah, babies, marriages.
But we are right now kind of working on some horror shorts.
That's been our thing for a little bit. We've
we're-
been putting
we're
out some
moving back
shorts.
to it. That's how we kind of started. We're trying to feel back into
Going
that.
back to the roots.
Yeah, get
That's
back
right.
into
I
our...
forgot that you guys started doing all those shorts.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
coming
Under
back
a
to you now.
Yeah,
different
keep it up.
name, but
Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yes,
Thanks.
please.
yeah, check out some of our old ones on YouTube.
Yep, Hit and Run. That's got
Hit
some.
and Run,
That's
yeah.
a werewolf short we did.
That one's gotten views. We don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. But we're doing some more vertical shorts now, to appeal to the TikTok
Yeah,
people.
kind of potentially planning maybe
Maybe a festival.
festival next year. Try to make a
Oh.
short for one of those.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what's up.
So, more to come.
So yeah, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is happening.
and we have a Discord.
We have a
That too.
Discord you can join. You can do movie watch-alongs with us. We do occasionally, and I don't know, we do little slices of trivia, so you'll see some questions come up every now and then. We pick 3 facts from a movie, and I try to stump Matt to see if he can guess the movie based on the 3 facts that I give him, and vice versa. So it's kind of fun.
Yes, love it. Mm-hmm.
That would stump me every time. I think if Adam was to do that to me, I'd be like, I don't know. Even though I've seen a movie,
We're not doing good at it.
That's our segment right there.
I can see a movie. My mind is so like Swiss cheese. I can watch my favorite movie ever, and then somebody will say, "Oh, do you remember that line that so and so says?" I'd be like, "No, I don't know what the hell you're talking."
Well, yes, Stardust, there you have it. Go ahead and check out both of these amazing channels. They have been longtime friends of mine, and I guarantee that you will like their content. So if you visit them and you like what you see, please subscribe to them. You'll have all of their links down there in the description too for all of their socials. And also, there you have it with our favorite movies for Halloween that we love to watch every spooky season. I'm sure you guys have heard at least one movie that you haven't seen, so hopefully you go and check that out this October. Well, Stardust, until next time, peace.